One of the things about life is it's just so daily. And so how do we bring life daily? Have you ever had one of those days? You know what I'm talking about? One of those days when you wake up and things are just a little harder than normal. You know, you're rolling out and you're just like, oh my goodness. And finally you get through some of the morning routine. You get to that kind of final check of yourself to make sure you didn't fail to do your hair or anything else. You don't look like a disaster walking out of the house. You look in the mirror and you think to yourself, you know what? I wonder what this shirt would look like as a book. Anyone? Anyone? No? Just me? That's cool. I'm fine. Leave me hanging. That's cool. That's fine. Guess I'm the only one. Now, today we're going to talk about bringing life daily. Last week a couple weeks ago, we jumped into this series about bringing life. We want to be people who bring life to everyone, everywhere, every day. And we've been looking at this section of Scripture, and we're going to, for the next several weeks, we're going to look at this section of Scripture where it's early on in these guys following Jesus. And Jesus is basically taking them from place to place, showing them, hey, here's how you be a life bringer in this place. Here's how you be a life bringer in this place. Here's how you bring life in this place. And so this week, we're going to talk just about the dailiness of our lives. In fact, we're going to do this from the Mark version of this passage because you'll look at Luke in your small groups this week. So if you have a Bible or your device and you want to grab that and go to Mark chapter 1, we'd love for you to be there, or you can check it out here on the screens. But Jesus sets this example that these guys are to follow, and we have a ton to learn from this. So let me just read a few verses and show you what we're talking about here. Mark chapter 1, verse 29. Says, after Jesus left the synagogue with James and John, they went with Simon and Andrew's home. Now Simon's mother-in-law was sick in bed with a high fever. They told Jesus about her right away. So he went to her bedside, took her by the hand, and helped her sit up. Then the fever left her, and she prepared a meal for them. This is daily as daily gets, right? Like, if you're like me, the first thing I always think about when I leave church is where I'm going to go eat. You know what I'm saying? And with people who I've been with is kind of the goal. So 2 weeks ago, we looked at how Jesus and these guys, they go to church together. They go to the synagogue together. And we talked about how we bring life at church and how if you're not serving, you're settling. And that's why hundreds of people are responding, and we hope 100 more do. But right after that, they're going to go somewhere. He just heads out and he goes to the next place like you. I'm guessing that 3 or 4 hours from now, you're not going to be sitting right where you are, right? In a little while, you're going to get up and you're going to go somewhere. And you know what you're going to do after that? You're going to go somewhere else. And then after that, you're going to go somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Over and over, we just keep going. It's the dailiness of life. And so he goes to like one of the most daily places you could go. He just goes to a friend's house. Walks into this friend's house and realizes that mother-in-law is sick. Now, there are some people out there who right now would throw in a mother-in-law joke, all right? As I thought about that, I was like, listen, something in the almost 18 and a half years of marriage indicated to me somewhere in my spirit that that might be a bad idea. And so what I did was I texted a buddy. I said, hey, I need a safe one-liner about mother-in-laws. And he sent back 3 words, no such thing. So sorry about no laugh there. I also texted my wife. She did not text me back. Later I found out it's because she was on the phone for an hour with her mother-in-law. Honestly, I'm glad she didn't respond. And so, but here's the thing. He just jumps into Peter's life, right? He goes to his house. They're friends. They've interacted in life. He just engages in Peter's daily life. But as he steps into this house, he realizes there's something taking life away from this house. Right? The drag of someone sick in your house, right? And this ongoing sickness that's there, right? I think about this marriage that Peter is navigating, right? I never really think a lot about these guys and their daily lives, but as we start to look at this, we do realize he was married, right? Daily conversations with his wife. Like next week, we're going to look at when Jesus says, hey, I want you to leave this really lucrative fishing business and come follow me around. How did that conversation with his wife go? Like, I have an idea how that would go in my house. Not well. And so this is just Jesus jumping right into the day-to-day of these guys' lives. And just watch what he does. Here's what he does. He shows up. He just shows up. He doesn't avoid hanging out with these guys. He enters into their daily lives. But not only does he show up, he's really present. You know what I mean? We all know the difference between being around and being really present. Jesus is present enough that as he looks at the house, he recognizes there are things taking life away from this house. He's assessing the situation, engaging meaningfully in Peter's life and the house in Simon Peter's house. So he shows up and he's present, and finally Jesus does what Jesus does. He helps. He does something about it in a way that only Jesus could. He says, you know what? I spoke the world into existence. This fever is no problem. Get out of here, and the fever's gone. Right? So he shows up, he's really present, and he helps. So in a really simple way, for the rest of our time, all we're going to do is we're going to break that down. What would it look like for us to be life bringers in everyone's daily lives around us by doing three things? Show up, be present, and help. Y'all with me? This is all about bringing life daily. So if you're filling in blanks, there's your first one. Bring life daily. So here's what we're going to do first. We're going to go. We're going to show up in people's lives, right? Over and over and over, we're going to show up. Now, we already said this. You're going to go somewhere. And this is really what Jesus is talking about. Everywhere he goes, he finds himself engaging in people's daily lives. At the end of Jesus' ministry, when he sends these guys out to create a movement of multiplication that would lead to millions of people thousands of years later knowing who Jesus is, what he said is this. He said, go, make disciples, right? So let me just ask you a question as we get started. Where are you going to go? Where are you going? Start thinking, running with your mind at the course of this week. Where are you going to go this week? Where are you going? Jesus said it this way to his disciples in Matthew chapter 28, verse 19. He says this, therefore, go and make disciples of all nations. Now, make disciples. Disciples just means learner, a follower of Jesus. The way we say that around here these days is bring life. We think that the more Jesus in people's life there is, the more life there'll be. More Jesus equals more life. So we bring life by inviting people to follow Jesus all the time in new and fresh ways. He says go, but he doesn't just mean like go, like on a mission trip or go to a particular place, though those are great things. What it literally means is as you are going, wherever you go, like as you go from here, you're going to go to there, and then you're going to go to there, then you're going to go to there, wherever you go. In fact, in Acts chapter 8, the followers of Jesus, they all get kicked out of their town because they're being persecuted. And in Acts chapter 8, it says, wherever they went, they brought good news. They brought the good news of Jesus wherever they went. That's what Jesus is calling us to. So the first thing we do is we go. We show up over and over in people's lives. So I want you to start to think for just a second. Would you pick your favorite day of the week? Any day, doesn't matter. I chose Thursday. Think through your favorite day of the week and just think through the places that you're going to go. Run through your calendar in your head, grab your phone and look at what your calendar says, whatever you need to do. This is what my Thursday last week looked like. Right here. 5 a.m., I go to the gym, and I figure if I stand around long enough talking to people by the equipment, eventually it'll have an effect, okay? At 7 a.m., this is critical, coffee, all right? Coffee happens. So I go to Starbucks, do some stuff for me, some stuff for work, that kind of stuff. 9 a.m., some meetings kicked in. I was still at Starbucks because if you're going to have a meeting, might as well be there. Noon, I grab lunch with somebody. At 1 p.m., I have some more meetings from 1 to 5. At 5, I go to soccer practice. I got a couple boys playing soccer. 7 p.m., I go to dinner at Panda Express. Don't judge me, all right? Sometimes you just don't have the energy to cook, and your kids want Chinese. I had the veggies. It's going to be okay. If you're going to judge me for what I ate, judge me for the 5 crunchy tacos at Taco Bell the night before. And then by 8 o'clock, I was home, okay? But I was touching base with a neighbor, kind of chilling for the evening, that kind of stuff. This is my Thursday, right? Everybody's going to go somewhere. Your day may not look just like this, but you got times and you got places, right? Everybody's going somewhere. But as we get there, here's what I want you to consider as you think about all the places you're going to go. One great question, in fact, I've given you 3 to have great conversations with God sometime in the next few days. The first question is this. You and God have a conversation. How fast are we going? As we go all of these places, right? There's lots of ways to navigate a day like this. And some days I'm just like laser focused, task oriented. I go through the day with like Jason Bourne intensity. You know what I'm saying? And then some days I'm a little more flex, I'm a little more loose, I'm a little more available to interact and do all these different things. But if you look at your life overall, how fast are we going all of the places that we're going? If Jesus was going really fast, I wonder if he would have paid any attention to Peter's mother-in-law. Here's the thing. How fast we are going is going to influence, has everything to do with the next piece that Jesus does that sometimes I'm great at and sometimes I'm not, that all of us can get better at. Not only do we show up in people's lives, but as we show up, we're really, really present in their lives. That we're there. We're not on our way from somewhere there to somewhere over there, and we're not just like passing through. We're not like cruising by. It's not like a drive-by interaction with people. Instead, we're really present with people. In fact, I bet if you thought through your calendar, you would think of all kinds of people that you could be present to. Now, I get how hard it is to be present because there's this little thing that we carry around all the time that is constantly chirping and beeping and buzzing and asking for our attention, right? With various notifications and badges and alerts and all the other things that pop up on this thing. But I'm just wondering if maybe a step forward for all of us is to do with the people we interact with the same things that we do with our phone. Right? Now, I'm not against phones. Love phones. Cool tool. Love it. I never have to figure out how to get anywhere. Right? It tells me. But on the downside is all of a sudden I'm here instead of right here in front of me. Right? This is helping me keep track of everything that's out there. But as I'm keeping track of everything that's out there, I often miss what's right here. So what if we treated people like our phones? What happens when our phone buzzes or beeps? It's probably happened to you 4 times since the service starts, right? What do? We immediately give eye contact, right? We lock in. We want to honor this phone with our direct eye contact. And then what we do is, we got to respond right away. Is this something that I need to do quickly? Is this something that I can, hold off until later, right? We're processing the emotions that we're receiving through various emojis and exclamation points and capital letters, right? And then we kind of sort through this. All right, well, what's my appropriate response to that? How do I give a response that's going to be meaningful to that, right? So we're not only going to emote and see it right away and react and give eye contact and attention, then we're going to respond. And then if it's not immediate, we're going to circle back and follow up and check in on how things are going, right? Only about 1,000 times a day, okay? What if we did that with people? What if we just started with like the most basic thing ever, eye contact? Because here's the thing, you're going to go lots of places, and I'm going to go lots of places, and there's all kinds of other people that are going to be in those places. What if we gave them eye contact? What if we began with the most basic indication of being present with someone, of connecting with them? Right? That we just started with that. And then in the same way we carefully read through the things that pop up on our text, we just watch and are attentive for emotion, that we respond either by changing our pace or our tone or our posture to adjust to them. I know this is like 101, but let's just think about our days, right? How present are we to people in the places that we go? It'd be a great thing to think through, right? And then that we would listen and receive their emotions and offer emotions in return, that we would not only respond in the moment, but we would circle back and follow up on the things that are going on. In fact, if you were to make a list, kind of like I made, of the places that you're going to go on any given day, you know what would be a great idea? You should just make a list of all the people that you had the opportunity to be present to. Not just how many people you passed, because that's probably in the hundreds, but how many opportunities, meaningful interactions of people's lives that even for just a minute or 5 minutes or more minutes than you planned for in your calendar, you could show up and really be present. On this Thursday, this is how many people in those places I could have shown up and just been present to. At the gym, there's a guy with his son, plays basketball. We've talked about his son before, but his son showed up, so I had the opportunity to either engage or not engage and talk to them about basketball or not talk to them about basketball. There's some other people at the gym. At the coffee shop, there's a really sweet lady in line behind that we knew from church, and so I got to chat with her. There were some others that would, the barista, and just kind of see how their day is going, all that kind of stuff. People to really be present with. Now, these numbers don't even include the people that I was supposed to meet with. These are just people around the meetings or between the meetings or on my way from one meeting to another that I had a chance to really engage and be a life bringer to or not. I get to choose. At lunch, I actually thought a kid was wearing a pajama shirt, and it was a normal shirt. Insulted the mom, my bad. I'm sorry, okay? I was trying, though. Okay? At practice, look, my life orbits through practice every single week, and guess who else orbits through practice every single week? Other parents of kids on the team. And so every single week, I have the opportunity to be really present and show up in people's lives every single week. Am I doing that? At dinner, there were people in the restaurant, and on the way out, if you want to call Panda a restaurant, right? And then at home, I needed to borrow a jack and some jack stands, and so a buddy brings them over, and I have the chance to either just receive those and quickly send him on his way or really be present and engage in conversation. 31 people on a random Thursday. How many opportunities is God putting right in front of us to be life bringers that we may or may not be seeing? Maybe we're showing up, but the question is, are we really being present? And so here's a great conversation to have with God. Consider this. How present are we in the places that we go? How present are we? Are we just there to get what we went there to get, or are we actually attentive and aware that maybe, just maybe, God has put some particular people in that particular path on this particular day so that we could bring life to that person? Right? There's so much that's out there. What if we brought it closer? In fact, I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking that the more present we are to people, not just that we show up in people's lives, but the more present we are to people, the more we'll hear and understand what really matters to them. And if that's the case, then number 3 is going to be on lockdown. Because what did Jesus do? He didn't just show up. He wasn't just present. He helped. If we're really going to be a help and do what we can, we've got to be really present so we can see the right ways to help. Right? So Jesus does this. He helps. In Mark chapter 1:31, it says that, and he helps in a unique way because he's Jesus. He can do whatever he wants. So he just speaks to the fever and says, done, and it's done. Right? But he helps. He engages. He doesn't leave this limitation of life in people's lives. He does what he can about it. And so what do? If we're going to show up and be present and actually going to help, there's lots of things I think we can do. I think we begin with what everyone can do. Everyone can help every situation in at least a few ways. The first way that every single one of us can help is by listening, right? Some of you doubt the person next to you's ability. I get it. Throw the elbow. That's fine. Get it over with. But all of us can learn to really listen and receive. And you're like, that's really elementary. That's like baseline. I already do that. Maybe. Ask the person next to you. How many people in our city would come alive in a new way if they just felt heard? If someone really took time to be present and to receive where they're at. No solution, no judgment, nothing but just presence and receiving. That they would have a place to be heard and understood and belong. I'm telling you, I think our city would take a huge step up in the quality of life if everyone knew that there was a group of people who were the best listeners on the planet. That there was a place they could always be heard. You know what else we can do? We can always encourage. Every single one of us can do this. We can speak life, encourage, and cheer people on. It's a willful choice. It does not require any major ability. Some of us are better than others. God has gifted us some of that to do that in really phenomenal ways, but every single one of us can choose to encourage. You know what else? Every single one of us can choose to empathize with people. Not sympathy, not pity, but like getting down in the hole with them, like Job's friends in the Old Testament, sitting alongside him in the ashes and the brokenness and just empathizing with them, joining them in their pain. Now, I didn't really know what that meant for a long time, and I was pretty sure I was bad at it. And so a buddy of mine actually sent me a 3-minute video from this awesome lady named Brene Brown. She does this little talk, and they put it to a cartoon, which really helps me, right? Apparently, she's written some really great books that are hundreds of pages long, but there's a 3-minute YouTube. I went there, and it's a cartoon. Go there, all right? Brene Brown, empathy. It's phenomenal. Helped me understand empathy in ways I never had before. Went from like a scale of 1 to 10, from like a 2 in empathy maybe to a 4.5, 6, I don't know. But up the scale at least. Check it out. Every single one of us can empathize with people who are hurting. And then not only do we do what everyone can do, and there's probably a longer list, but we also do what only we can do. Because here's how awesome God is. He is so sovereign that not only has he made you perfectly unique and individual with your experience and your abilities, and if you follow Jesus, the Holy Spirit is alive in you, has given you spiritual abilities, that you've been trained through various vocation and education and all the other ways. You are a unique blend, a unique life bringer in ways that no one else can be. And God is so sovereign, he's so powerful, he's so all-knowing that he invites you to intersect with other people's paths who need exactly what you have to offer. And if we're present long enough, we might see that maybe God has put us right here, right now, in this time, in this place for this reason, to bring life in a way that maybe only you can. Now, Jesus does that. He speaks healing into Peter's mother-in-law. But there are ways in which every single one of us is wired and gifted to do that. It's what we talked about a couple weeks ago, that we want to serve in the church in that way, because every single one of us has something to bring that makes us all better. In the same way, there are unique things that you bring to people outside of the church everywhere you go in their daily lives to call them to life. And so we do what everyone can do, and we do what only we can do, but there's this last thing that we should always do in every interaction. Every single time we show up, every single time we engage in our present, there is a help that we as followers of Jesus can bring every single place that we go. Let me show you what I mean. It's in the next few verses in Mark chapter 1. In verse 32, it says this: "That evening after sunset, many sick and demon-possessed people were brought to Jesus." If you're going to underline something, you should underline "brought to Jesus." 33, "The whole town gathered at the door to watch. So Jesus healed many people who were sick with various diseases." And this is exactly what the followers of Jesus had done a few verses before. What did they do when they found out Simon's mother-in-law was sick? They told Jesus about her right away. You see, there's this thing that we as followers of Jesus know, is that there's no one like Jesus. There's no one like him. And we also know this, that Jesus said, you're going to do even bigger things than he did in his lifetime, that we as followers of Jesus will do more than what he has done even greater things. But he also said this: apart from me, you can do nothing. That if we're going to be life bringers, like genuine life bringers, not make things just a little bit better, make things eternally better, we only do that with Jesus' strength. And so we need to be people whose sole mission always is to bring people to Jesus. That over and over and over, we do anything we can as we show up in their lives, as we're present and find out what's limiting to them. Yeah, we do what we can, but everything we do should be pointing and directing people toward Jesus, because he's the one who can offer the kind of help that every single one of us needs, kind of help that none of us could bring on our own. We want to bring them to Jesus, and there's one way we do that, at least one way we do that in the church, is called prayer. Now, some people will say, I'll pray for you, and that's an excuse to get out of actually doing any sort of help. Or they'll say, I'll pray for you and never follow through. In fact, this is what some of you who don't really follow Jesus, you're just hanging out because you love the people next to you. This is what drives you crazy, is that there are Christians out there are people out there who claim to follow Jesus and do nothing about it. But prayer is not doing nothing. Certainly we do everything we can, but we never fail to pray. Would we want to do this with God or without God? Simple answer. We want to do this with him, right? In fact, there's this story in Mark chapter 9 where the followers of Jesus decided, you know what, I guess it's on us. And so they go to help this guy and his son. His son's afflicted, and so they're like trying to help this guy's son, and it's not working. They're totally failing. Jesus shows up. The father comes to Jesus. He's like, listen, Jesus, I don't know if you can do anything about this because your followers are struggling, man. That's not getting done. And Jesus says, nothing is impossible for those who believe. And the man says, I believe, help my unbelief. And Jesus takes care of the situation. Immediately after that, these followers of Jesus walk up to Jesus and like, hey, Jesus, why couldn't, you told us to go do this stuff. We've been able to do this stuff before. Why couldn't we do it this time? Why did it not work for us? Why did you have to come? And Jesus looks at them and he just says, this can only be taken care of through prayer. What he was saying was, guys, you tried to do this without me. What are you thinking? Are you crazy? Why would you do that? And so we do what we should do all the time, that we pray. And we don't just pray sometime. We don't just promise to pray. We actually pray. What if we became people who constantly were praying with people right in the moment? Not I'll pray for you and walk away and forget, like I'll pray for you right now. Like let's do that now. And then we start to do things that create a habit that we actually do follow up. And just like when we sort back through our texts and messages, we actually circle back and see how things went. Because when we do, life will be brought to other people and to us. I stumbled into this just a couple weeks ago. Met this really sweet young girl who was just kind of checking out things. She'd been around, hadn't been around for a while, came back. We were just kind of chatting on coffee, and somehow before I got to the magical substance called coffee, I stopped and talked to her and was accidentally present enough to find out she had a job interview, and she was nervous. I was like, that's cool. I'll pray for you. I didn't pray for her in the moment. Probably should have. But I know this about myself, I'm forgetful. So I grabbed my phone and I typed into my calendar the time and date that she was supposed to have an interview and decided to pray for her. And that was cool. And we just kind of walked away and I went and got some coffee. So it was awesome this week when I got this email about this long, full of capital letters and exclamation points, and her excitement about having got the job. Pretty awesome, right? I have no idea if I had any impact on that. I like to believe God's involved in everything. He's always up to something, but I do know this. If I had not accidentally stopped to pray with this girl, I would not have the joy of celebrating with her when the very thing she was hoping for and dreaming for actually came about. We should do what we should always do. We want to bring people to Jesus, and we do that at least through prayer. Now, I get it. It's hard sometimes because the help that we want to be, when we show up, when we're present, when there's a help that we desperately want to bring, it's not always in our strength to bring it. We do what we can. We don't do everything. We do what we can, because here's the truth, is that the helping is up to us and the healing is up to Jesus. In every single situation, there are things we can do and there are things we can't do. But what we can do in every situation is we can do what everybody can do. We can do what only we can do, and we can take people to Jesus. And we can trust him to do the right thing from there. So maybe here's a conversation you could have with God about this week. Consider this. What has kept you from helping? In those moments where you've shown up, where you've been present, where you've desired to help, what has stopped you from helping? For me, I came up with a list of 4 things in about 3 seconds. You ready? Maybe you'll resonate. Being insecure, afraid of being judged, risking my reputation, and I'm just too busy. Anybody? Or just me? I was alone on the shirt thing, but I feel like we're together on this. And there's probably a longer list, right, of the things that keep us from helping. But here's what I'm wondering. I wonder if fear of doing the wrong thing has kept us from doing anything. And I wonder how many more people would come alive in Jesus if we would even do the wrong thing. If in the interest of an effort of doing anything we could, that we might just communicate something about Jesus, that he's the place to go when you need help. What if by our behavior, by us showing up and being present and helping, what if our city learned, if your family learned, if your coworkers learned, if your neighbors and my neighbors learned that the place you go for help is Jesus and his people? How different would your family and your workplace and your neighborhood and our city be? See, Jesus taught us how to bring life daily. The question is, will we say yes to that? Will we actually do that? Or will we just go about our thing in our own interest? Tens, if not hundreds of opportunities every single day that as we are going, we get to be present. We get to show up and be present and help in every way that we can. And so maybe try this week. You ready? Just pray. Just pray and watch your life. Pray and consider that there are 2 or 3 people that God has positioned in your life this day that you could do anything to make their day better, to bring life, to point them toward Jesus. In fact, your small group this week, you're going to take like 10 or 15 minutes in the middle, and you're just going to be on your own and be quiet. And there are many men in here who are like, yes, that's the kind of small group I want. Where you're going to have a conversation with God, just thinking through the people you interact with on a regular basis and asking God, who have you positioned for me to bring life to? And how can I just take a risk? How can I just try? Even if it's the wrong thing, maybe the effort would mean something. That we would show up, be present, and help. Listen, this whole series for us has been about action. That we don't want to be people here who just agree with things or just believe things in like a headway that we would be able to recite them or draw lines in the sand, but instead we would be the kind of people who listen to what Jesus says and then do what Jesus says. In fact, some of you who are in here are skeptical about Jesus. If Christians had done more to show you who Jesus is, you wouldn't be so skeptical. That many of us, if you think about all the different ways that God has brought you life, I'm guessing it was tied up in the doing of what God had said. That when we go forward, it's because we're actually acting on what Jesus said. And so every single week in our groups, we've been doing this thing where the group culminates in a thing where you write an I will statement with a measurable, timed action, where you're actually going to practice what Jesus has said. And we want that to be the tenor of the whole thing. And so the musicians and some of the band here in our church said, you know what, it would be really cool if we just wrote a song that captured that. And so they put together this song called We Will Go. You hear how it's action? And we're just hoping this, that maybe this song, at least the heart of the song, would become a heartbeat for us. It would become like this household thing and this family that would be kind of this call, this commitment of us to say, you know what? We're not just going to agree. We're not just going to remember. We're going to do. We're going to take action. We're going to be life bringers in the church daily and everything else that we'll talk for these coming weeks. And so rather than me praying and everyone listening, here's what I'd like to do today. I want to invite everybody to stand up, and I want to encourage you to listen, and as you learn the song, sing along if you want. But let's let the words of this song be our prayer as we head out of here. A conversation between us and God, that we want to be the kind of people who go be help.
City filled with lost and broken people. We need you, God, to come and make us whole, and walk with us. Holy Spirit, lead us as we go out and show this world your love. We will go wherever you send us, and we will bring your hope to the hopeless, and we will speak the names of the nameless, and we will learn to love like you, Jesus. We will go. Awaken us, show us what we could be. Break down the walls keeping us from you. There's no more fear, your spirit lives within us. Our hope, our strength, our freedom is in you. So we will go wherever you send us. We will bring your hope to the hopeless. We will speak the names of the nameless, and we will learn to love like you, Jesus. We will go. More and more we look to you. More and more we see you move. More and more your love will shine as your people come alive. More and more our chains will fall. More and more new life for all. More and more we're desperate now to know your resurrecting power. Depression and addiction fades. The hope of Christ is here to stay. The lonely and the hurting ones find comfort as a child of God. More and more we look to you. More and more we see you move. More and more your love will shine as your people
Hey, listen, would you just turn to the person next to you and say, go be help? Would you do that right now? Just turn to the person next to you and say, hey, go be help. Turn to the other person next to you in case they got left out. Say, hey, go be help, would you? Awesome. We hope that this week, as you are going, that you can show up and be present, and that we might be great help. If you've told God you'll jump in and stop settling and start serving in our church, make sure you swing by the tent. But as you go through the week, may it be a week full of showing up in people's lives. That tens, if not hundreds of people walk away from you this week saying, man, I needed that. Because you were present and you helped and you brought people to Jesus. Let's be life bringers this week, all right? We love you. Have a great week.